welcome back to season 2 of the Stick 'em Up podcast. It has passed July 1st. It is past NHL free agency. We are now in second season of the podcast. It's been just over a year that we've been doing it now. A lot of stuff's been going on in the league. We got some new stuff coming as well for the podcast in general. But Burundi, how are you doing?
Good. We're doing good. How do I sound? Is that better? I think I fucked up my mic. We're starting off hot.
No, you sound good.
All right, we're starting off hot here. Yeah, like you said, we're in season 2. I mean, fucking crazy week it was with Stanley Cup being awarded, then the awards, then the draft, then free agency, and now we're in the filler time. We're in the time where we've now got basically almost 3 full months with no hockey. So we're in off-season mode here, but we're feeling good, and we're ready to dive into some off-season talk here now.
Yeah, it's gonna be probably a decent amount of almost filler stuff. Quizzes. Maybe a couple extra fun things. Maybe we'll do some fan suggested stuff if we get any of that on Twitter or any of that. As well as I think we're probably gonna do rather quick kind of previews or reviews of each team throughout the offseason. We're going to do just take a quick look at each team and what their moves have been, what they're looking to do, what the expectation is next year, stuff like that.
Because we kind of touched I mentioned it way back when, and then it kind of got shoved under the rug. But kind of when we're at the process of looking at every team, and this episode and the next one is kind of just looking at some of the trades and signings throughout free agency and all those kind of ones. But once you kind of actually look at each team more individually during the offseason, we'll also kind of look back at, the season they just had and how it went for them, and, then the moves they made and where they're looking to go for next season. So kind of a whole review of every team will be coming at some point throughout the offseason.
Yeah, so we might do like 4 different episodes, splitting them up into divisions. Maybe we'll just do shorter ones for each team. Who knows? We haven't figured that out yet. But for now, this entire episode is probably going to be just going over free agency and one bit of news that we can just kind of blow through right here at the start, because there's not a ton to say about it. But
I'll just kind of I don't need anything. I don't need I'm so fucking sick and tired of talking about this shit, because it keeps coming back up. So I'll just kind of let you handle it, and then we'll kind of just move on from there.
Yeah, the NHL has reinstated Bowman, Stan Bowman, Joe Quenneville, and McIsaac. Not sure what exactly McIsaac's role was in it. Al McIsaac. These are 3 people that were very heavily involved in the Chicago Blackhawks organization, specifically between 2010 and onward, at least for most of their dynasty years. They have all been banished from the league for the past couple years because of all their heavy involvement with the Kyle Beach situation and his sexual assault at the hands of Brad Aldrich, part of the team. So a lot of people really hoping they would just never touch the NHL again. They already have their names on multiple Stanley Cups. They already got hundreds of thousands of dollars at the minimum, probably millions for most of them. I don't see what the NHL has to gain by bringing these idiots back. But Scotty Bowman coming back, and immediately there was tons of smoke around him being hired by the Edmonton Oilers. Hopefully they don't, but hockey is a very incestuous business. They love bringing in their old guys who've done it before, so I don't doubt they'll find jobs in the league. And hopefully it's similar to Babcock, where immediately they fuck up again and then they get ostracized again, because I haven't heard anybody happy about this news. I haven't even heard like the contrarian person being like, give them a chance. Everyone knows these guys are full of shit, and they've spent their time in the league anyway. They wouldn't be worse for wear. So, in my opinion, fuck them, get them out. Who cares? They've done fine for it anyway. Let's just try and move on. But other than that, until they get picked up by a team, there's not much to be said.
Yeah, the only thing I can say is you said Scotty Bowman. It's Stan Bowman.
Oh crap! Did I say Scotty?
Yeah,
I did.
yeah,
Yes, obviously I meant Stan Bowman.
yeah. I knew that. I just wanted to make sure that we put that out there, so we're not throwing
Oh, absolutely.
allegations
Oh,
at
absolutely. Is
an
that
innocent
his?
90-year-old.
I was gonna say, is that his dad?
I don't even know if there's even a relationship between the
Because
two.
I googled Stan Bowman and all the stuff's come up here, and I've got on my screen, and also on my screen it says
Oh,
parent
Scotty
Scotty
Bowman is his
Bowman.
dad. Yeah, it
So
is. Yeah.
I might have absentmindedly been reading off the page there, but yeah, no, it was Stan Bowman, not Scotty Bowman.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, pretty much all just signings, trades, and legitimate hockey news. So we got a lot of stuff here. Do you have anywhere specific you want to start? Do we just want to start going over some of the signings and what we like? Do you want to start with a specific team? What are you thinking?
So we'll start off with a trade, and this was probably my favorite move, my buy a team. Um, like when you look at it first, it's like okay, but when you look how it actually played out, fucking fantastic. The Washington Capitals, so they traded Beck Malenstein, former Calgary Hitman, to the Buffalo Sabres. So Beck Malenstein, he's a fourth line center. That's what he is. Buffalo gets him. They send a second round pick. It was the 43rd overall pick to the Washington Capitals, and they select Cole Hudson, who I think is has a very good chance to be a phenomenal offensive defenseman in the league. Younger brother to Lane Hudson with Montreal, who we've seen his progression. So if he can even be, half of what his brother's already projecting to be, that could be a nice move there by the Caps.
Yeah, and that will definitely not be the last time we talk about the Caps in this episode because
Yeah,
they made quite a few moves
they
and
made
they made a
moves.
lot of good ones.
They made
Honestly,
fucking moves.
I saw a lot of moves that they made that I really liked, so they'll definitely be coming up again. Um, we got quite a few that we could talk about that we could start with here. Um, let's talk about one that happened just before free agency. A couple of the last moves that happened on June 30th. For one, Stanley Cup champion Sam Reinhart re-signed for 8 years with the Florida Panthers at a cap hit of $8.625 mil per year. That's a $69 million contract.
Nice.
Nice.
You knew he wanted that.
He was like, you know what? It would look real nice in a bank account.
And I said it from the beginning. I said Sam Reinhart is not leaving. I said they're like, especially now that they won the cup, but even if they lost, he still would have stayed there. He's he's fit in so well there. He's so in and a part of what they've built and what they're continuing to build. There was just like, and he could have gone to the open market and there would have been a team out there that would have given him 10.
Yeah.
But you know what? He chose to stick with Florida. I think it's the right call for him. I think it's a great contract for both him and the team. Like I love it. It's one of those deals you look at and it's just like, fuck, what a nice piece of work by both sides there.
Yeah, and that deal was the very last thing that happened on June 30th before the cutoff date. I believe it happened within 5 minutes of him not being able to sign an extension. It would now be a 7-year contract he'd signed in free agency. Like they did it right at the last second.
Right under the wire. Yeah.
The second last thing to happen before free agency, just a couple, a dozen minutes earlier than the Reinhardt deal, was Tampa Bay signing Jake Gensel to a 7-year, $9 million AAV contract extension. They traded for him either earlier in the day or a day before.
I think it was the day before.
Yeah, I think it was 2 days before free agency, and then they got that extension done like half an hour before Reinhardt, within the hour of it being where he couldn't, and they got that done, and that's gonna look real nice for Tampa. I think Gensel's gonna fit in phenomenally on that top line with Point and Kucherov, and of course that just pushes Hagel down on the second line, so that helps out scoring there. I think it's a great move. Unfortunately, of course, we're going to talk about it later, but it did end up eating up the cap space, partially reserved for Steven Stamkos. Um, I think Brisebois saw the writing on the wall, figured it wasn't gonna get done the way he wanted, and he made a move for Jake Gensel before he lost Stamkos and didn't get one of the big fish in free agency.
Yeah, it's such a good move um for Tampa. Like I've seen people, that are like shitting on it, and why would you bring in Gensel that Stamkos walk? Like this was a home run for Tampa to, when it kind of looked like all things were lining up of, Gensel's going to stick with Carolina, resign, and then Tampa just fucking boots down the door, and they're like, no, we're plucking him. This is what we're going to give him. And then once that was out there, like, yeah, it was an easy decision for Gensel to be like, yeah, I'm going to Tampa instead, and that's kind of the end of it. It's also worth noting the exact same offer, 7 years at $9 million per year, was also offered to Gensel by the Vancouver Canucks, but he ended up deciding to go with Tampa Bay instead. So not only did Tampa get a great player in Jake Gensel, but Jake Gensel also wanted to go to Tampa Bay. He had his pick of those three teams at least, and all had good offers from him, and Tampa was the one he wanted to go and play for. So
Yeah,
that's
and I
also
think
worth noting.
Yeah, and I think because Tampa, up until that point, were in talks with Stamkos, I think he had the least time to talk with Tampa about it. So I think it really shows that he wanted to be there. And regarding Gensel over Stamkos, that whole thing, I it's hard to look at because as a fan, I obviously very much wanted Stamkos to play with only the Bolts and retire a Lightning and all that, but looking at it as a GM, he wants to put out a Stanley Cup contending team every year and going forward. He wants to set himself up for future success, and he did, and he did it better than if he kept Stamkos at whatever he was asking. At least in his estimation, we don't know the numbers for sure. All of them have been speculated, but as a general manager, you don't really want your general manager to be doing stuff like that. You want him to be the hard ass who makes the hard decisions. So I can sit here and go, I would have done it differently. I can sit here and bitch and complain, but I'm still going to be watching a competitive team. So I think he did the right thing in his job space, but it's easy to complain about because you lost Steven Stamkos, right?
Exactly, right. And the whole reason that this even was able to come to fruition, in the final, days, minutes, hours, whatever you want to write it up as. It started back on day 2 of the draft, the second trade to happen. The big freaking trade alert thing goes off, and everybody's like, "Oh shit!" We're watching another second round pick get moved or something. Someone's trading up, and then all of a sudden, the Utah Hockey Club has acquired Mikhail Sergachev, and the place just went like the gasps. It was because this came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and
great call by them to announce Sergachev first and not what Tampa was getting. Like
return,
announce the big piece to like that had the air got sucked out of the room a little bit, but like in a good way. Like it was great.
Yeah, and so I mean the way this is on Sportsnet here still, it says that the Arizona Coyotes acquired Mikhail Sergachev, but it was Utah. And so, I mean, and it shocked everybody. Utah gets Sergachev, and Tampa Bay gets back Connor Geekie, JJ Moser, a second-round pick in 2025, and then a fourth-round pick that was in this draft here in 2024. And that's what really kind of opened the door there. And it was like, okay, now it's, and when this trade happened, I was kind of sitting there like, all right, so it either means one of two things. It's either Stamkos is staying or Tampa's got a bigger move. And the only other bigger move that was really out there that made sense was Jake Gensel. So it was like, which way are they going here? And yeah, I mean, and it made more sense like half an hour later, and it's like they trade Tanner Jeannot to LA, and they got a second round pick back as well in 2025, which is nice.
A second and a fourth, maybe a seventh, something like that.
It was
a second and a lower pick.
The fourth they got in the Sergachev deal, and the fourth they got in the Jeannot deal with the Kings was actually the 118th pick and the 119th pick. So they're getting back-to-back picks there, which is kind of cool. But once I saw the Jeannot trade happen, it's like, okay, now it's like they're going for Gensel. Like, if you were just planning on keeping Stamkos, you could have moved Jeannot, and you probably could have found a way to make it work. But with Sergachev being moved, and then Jeannot, was like, all right, Jay Gensel's coming in here now, and
Yeah.
and you can kind of look at it different ways. I think it's definitely going to hurt Tampa Bay not having Sergachev on the blue line there. But again, when you bring in Gensel, it also helps out, your forward core, and I think it's as much as it sucks in Stamkos. I think Gensel is an upgrade not only right now, but he also will be, down the line.
Yeah, especially since he's pretty responsible defensively for a guy who scores so many goals. And notoriously, Stamkos, his 5-on-5 play this past year really slipped. Still put up I think 81 points, 42 goals, something like that. But I believe he was the lowest plus minus on the team at the end of the year. Like, his 5-on-5 has definitely slipped. And so getting a guy who does similar stuff while being a two-way forward is pretty nice. It'll be interesting to see how he fits in with the team, and especially on that power play that finished first in the league last year, like even over the Oilers. So hopefully he can keep up there.
Here's the thing. Here's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Out of all of this with Tampa, it's JJ Moser. It's what can he do? What can he come in and even, obviously there's a 0% chance he comes in and replaces what Sergachev does. It's just not going to happen. And that's fine. But he was one of those guys when he was drafted. He jumped into the NHL so early compared to a lot of the other guys. Like, he was a second round pick. I don't know where, but he's a second round pick. And he jumped into the NHL, admittedly on a shitty Coyotes team, but he jumped in before a lot of the other guys that were drafted high up in the first round. And Moser came in and immediately worked in the NHL. Like, it wasn't like he floundered and couldn't find his game and it ruined his progression. Like, he fit in and he was good. But the thing is that all he is, he could come in and be solid and that's where he is? Or can he continue to develop? And if he can continue to develop, it could be nice for Tampa Bay. So that's kind of out of all their moves, that's what I'm most curious about, is what can JJ Moser come in and do? Again, it's not going to be the level of Sergachev, but if he can come in and be a solid 45, 50 point guy on the back end and be reliable defensively, I think that's fine, because then you're also getting Connor Geekie, who's going to be a big freak of nature up on the forward for them, crashing and bashing and scoring. Like, he's basically Tanner Jeannot, only 20 times better and way younger. So
and Tampa also picked up McDonough in the offseason, so
so that one's weird.
He'll be
taking good buddies.
He'll be taking some room from where Sergachev would have played on that second pairing already. So between him and Moser, I think that'll fill out the top six for defense really nicely. I think bringing McDonough was under the pretense that Stamkos was going to stay, but the further and further it got, the less certain Brisebois was that it was going to get done at a cap hit he was comfortable with. And at the end of the day, McDonough's still great, and I think he's still going to be a great part of this team. Like, a lot of people are wondering why we got rid of him just to pay to bring him back later. We didn't want to get rid of him before. It was the cap. Obviously, it was the cap.
So you could pay guys like Hagel and Cirelli and all that.
Yeah, and because of that, we were able to keep Palat for an extra year. We could have lost Killorn and Palat in the same year, but we staved Palat off one more year because we were able to move out McDonough. So, yeah, I think Tampa's D-core is probably looking better this year. Cautiously optimistic on that. But yeah, we'll have to see how some of these moves pan out. Speaking of Stamkos, we might as well move to them. They are my biggest winners of this free agency, and I don't even think it's that close, to be honest. The Nashville Predators.
They're not my winners. We'll get into mine, but they are not my winners.
Because of what they did, or because you think somebody else made banger moves?
I think another team. I'm like, okay. I still think Nashville is. I don't even. I would still call them a winner, but yeah, no. I've got another team that's quite a bit above them in my books. But we'll talk with Nashville first, because there's a fucking lot to dissect about what went on with the Preds early on in free agency here.
Yeah, so they kicked it off on free agency day, signing Stamkos to that 4-year, $8 million average contract. So they picked him up at free agency. Where I'm trying to find them on freaking Cap Friendly, so I can actually look at their stuff. There we go. They also brought in Jonathan Marchessault. I that one blows my mind. That one absolutely blows my mind. $5.5 million for 5 years. Sure, he's 33 years old. He is like 1 calendar year ago, he just won the Conn Smythe Trophy. Like I get it. Guys start falling off. He just won the Conn Smythe, dude. You couldn't afford $5.5 million for the guy who is the franchise leader in almost every category a player can be for the Golden Knights. I don't know why they didn't extend him earlier or in this offseason, if that's what he's asking. But fantastic move by the Predators to get him signed for that. That's looking really good for them. Who else did they get? They got Brady Shea. They got him at $7 million for the next, I believe, 7 years.
Yeah, 7 by 7. Quickly, just before we finish talking about wrapping up Nashville.
Sure.
I'm not going to say his name because obviously, and I know he might even be listening to this because he was in my DMs chirping me. But I had a Vegas fan telling me that Marchessault didn't deserve his Conn Smythe. He was only good on Vegas because Eichel carried him, which is fucking ridiculous. Like if you're trying to just, if you're trying to find any way to cope with losing Marchessault, don't be sitting there like, oh, he was shit. He got carried by Eichel, because he was fucking carrying that team before Eichel got there. And guess what? Marchessault got the Conn Smythe. Eichel didn't. Eichel did not carry Marchessault to a Conn Smythe. So if you're listening to this, fuck you, because I don't even like Vegas. But to say Marchessault got carried in Vegas and wasn't that good is fucking ridiculous. He leads them in, I think, pretty much every stat you can imagine.
It's
so far
it's almost
franchise,
every stat. Yeah, it's like points, goals, games played, like pretty much everything you can. Like,
and not only that, I didn't like Marchessault on Vegas. He's a good player, but he was fucking annoying to play against, and I hated how fucking cocky and everything he was. But there is no denying that he was like the heart and soul of that Vegas Golden Knights team from day one up until now. It blows my mind that they were not able to get a deal done. And it sounds like
especially at that cap hit. Like, I can understand Brisebois not getting it done because he doesn't want to sign Stamkos for 4 years at $8 million. But you're telling me Vegas couldn't find 5.5 for Marchessault?
Marchessault would have taken less, I bet.
Yeah, like I think they just straight up thought, we don't, he asked for any term and they were just like, no.
Yeah.
And that's
they're looking
crazy.
They're looking at new shiny toys out there like Marner. But one thing I read is because obviously Marchessault and Stamkos from their time in Tampa are buddies. It sounds like they were kind of talking on first day of free agency, and they were both kind of like, hey man, like, my team's not giving me an offer. I'm on my way out. And he's like, oh, same. And then they're like, hey, I got an offer from Nashville. Oh shit, I got an offer from Nashville. Should we do this? Yeah, let's do it. And then that's why they both signed like within a span of like 10 minutes, is because they were both kind of like, we're on the way out. Hey, let's both go to Nashville together. And honestly, they're probably going to fucking tear it up for a couple of years. I'm curious to see how it works out with Nashville. But then Brady Shea, I mean, that's why I'm not as high on Nashville, because I think 7 by 7's a fucking lot for Brady Shea.
I think it's a decent amount. I'd say it's market value for a free agency. I don't think it's going to be a bad contract. I think it might be a bit high.
And that's the thing, right? Like if they wanted to get him, you had to pay him that.
Yeah.
But I'm not sold on that deal is going to pan out. Like it's very clear Nashville's in a like a win now. They've got
Yeah,
a window where they're like, we're trying to win with Yossi and Forsberg, and then the cast we're now building around them. And Barry
yeah,
Trotz is like, we're going all in to win. That's why they re-signed UC Saros to that great 8-year extension, by the way.
yeah.
Um,
7.74 mil for the next 8 years. That'll take him up to, what'll that take him to? 38 years old. That is
yeah,
that, it's like a lot of contracts signed at that age. The last 2-3 years might be rough, but the rest of it's gonna look great.
yeah. But yeah, I'm just sitting there like like Brady Shea, he's already 30, right? So that's gonna take him up until he's till he's 37. And I mean, like, and the thing is like Brady Shea, he did just have the best season of his career in terms of points wise, 47 in 80. But again, he's on a good Carolina team, and I'm just, again, it's what they had to pay to get him because he was a free agent. He had every other team he could have talked to and signed with. But I'm just not super crazy about that deal, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
get
Nashville
that.
still did really well. Like, I think the Stamkos deal in the final year might not be great, but again, hey, maybe you can just retain half and ship him off to a contender, something. Same with Marchessault, but I think in the immediate now, the next 3 seasons, possibly 4 even. Um, you know, Nashville's looking scarier now. Like they're building a good team, so I'm curious to see how it goes for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like a lot of the moves they made, and even the ones, like the Brady Shea contract, which I agree it's definitely not as nice as the Marchessault one and the Stamkos one, but I still think it's fine. I think they got a great guy, so
Mhm.
it'll be interesting to see where they finish this year because they were supposed to be rebuilding last year, and all of a sudden they're buying because
Mhm.
in that rebuild after they sold last offseason, they made the playoffs. So
Yeah,
who
and
knows
they
how they're
made it
going to
hell
finish
on
now?
Vancouver, who was like they came in as the 8th seed, and they or no, the 7th, and they made it hell on Vancouver. And I think the turning point for them was that incredible streak they went on from whatever time that their U2 trip in Vegas got canceled.
Right.
They went on that incredible run, and I think that's when they're like, okay, shit, like we've got a team that just went on this incredible run to get into the playoffs, and they gave Vancouver like everything they could handle. And then you're looking at it now, and it's like, okay, now you just brought in Stamkos, you just brought in Marchessault, two great playoff performers in their own right. Not only that, great players in general, and then Brady Shea on the blue line. Like, and again, I don't like the Shea contract, but as a player, makes him way better. And I'm pretty sure they also were able to re-sign Alexander Carrier, who it looked like all signs were pointed to him being gone. So I like it's again, they're not my winner, but if you're a Nashville fan, you got to be fucking pumped at what they did because it's just incredible
Yeah.
what they were able to do.
Yeah, the time on the turnaround, and they've got draft picks too. They have all of their own picks in the next 3 years, except for their seventh rounder this upcoming year in 2025. But they also have Tampa Bay's first rounder this year, Tampa Bay's second rounder, Colorado's third rounder, and Minnesota's third rounder. So they've also got draft picks. Like
Yeah,
they are set up for a really good future here. And it's crazy how
yeah,
quick they turned it around because we see some teams, they have to take so long to turn around, and
yeah,
it's yeah, they've done some really tidy work over there. Um
most definitely, yeah.
do we want to talk about who you have then as your winner of free agency?
Yeah, my winner, and again for me, just because of not only what they brought in, but the deals and whatnot, it's not even close. My easy winner for free agency this year is the Edmonton Oilers.
That was one of my
Bridesmaids
thoughts.
of this season. Again, they are in a little bit of a weird spot right now because they are 2 million over the cap, and they do have Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg currently unsigned. It does sound like they're trying to convince Evander Kane to waive his no movement clause, but he's kind of like, no, fuck you. I'm staying here, and so it's gonna be hard for them. Like they're gonna have to move someone out. But just looking what they did, first of all, you buy out Jack Campbell. Great move, needed to be done. You weren't going to be able to trade it. And then you bring in Victor Arvidsson, 2 years, $4 million per year. That's going to be a great addition to their second line along Draisaitl. Another guy who's a dog on a bone and will drive to the net and help create more offense for Draisaitl on that second line. You go out and get Jeff Skinner, who was just bought out by Buffalo. I mean, you put Jeff Skinner on a wing with McDavid, like Jeff Skinner on a 1-year deal right now, making $3 million. He could tuck 40. He could be a 40 and 40 guy. He could be an 80-point guy playing with McDavid, and then not to mention Hyman on the other side. I think Jeff Skinner can be a wizard on that first line there. And then when it seemed like the door was closed, it was done, he was gone. All of a sudden, boom, fucking Adam Henrique comes back, and he signs a 2-year deal at $3 million per year to try and run it back with Edmonton on another run. Like that is three really, like that's 3 good players to add into your top 9. And not only that, you're doing so where you're paying a combined $10 million for him.
Yeah.
Like that is, and again, like I think the sky's like, I think Arvidsson complements so well on a line with Draisaitl, and I think Jeff Skinner fucking is going to be so good up there with McDavid, because McDavid can make anybody good, and we know what Jeff Skinner's potential is. And as a shooter, when you're playing with probably the best playmaker in the world, it could be such a deadly combo there.
Yeah,
so I really do like what.
Really good for them. And I love that pick as the winners of free agency. Actually, that's really good, because they got a lot of great things done in this free agency period. They also got Connor Brown coming back for $1 million. They got Corey Perry coming back for 1.15. Like,
and Matthias Janmark at just a little bit under 1.5 on a 3-year deal. So really, they only lost Warren Foegele. You lose Warren Foegele, which
I think
it doesn't when it doesn't when Victor Arvidsson plays kind of similar to Foegele and is better. Jeff Skinner, and then you add Jeff Skinner, you somehow are able to bring back Adam Henrique. They still have stuff to work out, because again, they are $2 million over the cap, and you need to re-sign Holloway and Broberg, who I don't think even if you're signing both of them and they're taking a discount, signing 1 year, $1 million, that's putting you 4 over. So I don't know what their plan is. Again, I think they're going to keep plugging away, and they're going to try to get Evander Kane to waive his no movement, but it seems like he's pretty set in stone that he's not. He's like, no, you gave it to me. I'm not budging. And you know what? Fair play to him. Like, that's well within his right. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, the whole point of a no movement clause is that you can stick to it if you want to.
Yeah, so they're going to have to figure out how they're going to open up that money to keep Broberg and Holloway, or do they have to just bite the bullet and be like, sorry boys, we're trading you, and then potentially even a Ryan McLeod, maybe, now that you got Adam Henrique, maybe Ryan McLeod, maybe he's on his way out, and you gotta ship him off or something. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do, but in terms of the moves they did make, I think Edmonton smashed it on day 1 of free agency.
Yeah, that's a great call. And Jeff Skinner especially, I really like that signing, because notoriously he has played over 1,000 games in his NHL career, and he has not yet played a single game in the playoffs. Edmonton's going to be in the playoffs again next year. Even if by Christmas they are 32nd, they are going to make it.
Are they? No, I'm just fucking with you. Of course they are. Like, but not only are they a top team in the league, still, like they're a top 5 team, they are in such a dog shit division.
Yeah.
Like, they're in a bad division. So they're 100% making the plus. Probably going to win their division, I think.
Probably, unless Vegas really cranks it up. But I definitely think they are the odds-on favorite.
I think Vegas is taking a step back. It's them or Vancouver.
I think so too. I think so as well. But
how exciting is that?
My point there with Jeff Skinner is that he is going to be one of their best players on the roster once they get to the playoffs. Like,
Yeah.
How many times has this team gone to the playoffs and gone a couple rounds deep now? They're going to get to the first round and be like, here we go again. Jeff Skinner's going to step onto the ice and immediately he's going to be playing like it's game 7 and his life is on the line. This dude has played on so many crappy teams and never made the playoffs. He has got to be chomping at the bit to play meaningful playoff hockey. And I cannot wait to see that happen, especially if he is on that top line with McDavid. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if in his first playoff game he puts up a hat trick. Like, dude is going to be flying out there, and that'd be such a great story. It'll be so fun to see. I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, like, and I'm so glad I wasn't alone when, the Jeff Skinner bout became official, and I thought Edmonton's the perfect fit, and I saw like everybody being on that wagon of like this is where he needs to go. Like this will be a phenomenal deal for for both sides, and sure enough, it ends up happening. And yeah, I think Jeff Skinner is going to just really like you have to put him with McDavid. It makes so much sense to put those two together. Like, obviously, Hyman is sticking with McDavid. Like, you're not moving a guy who just tucked 50 with McDavid. But I think Jeff Skinner out there, especially with some of the speed he's got, like, and he's also just a great locker room guy. Like, the high praise he gets from all of his teammates in Buffalo and then from even in Carolina. Like, they can't say enough good things about him. So he's also just going to make that locker room that much brighter for the team. So I love it for Edmonton.
Yeah, and even if he doesn't work out on the top line, you move him down to the second and Arvidsson up to the first. Like, they're both listed as both wingers. Skinner's a left wing and then a right wing, and Arvidsson is a right wing then a left wing. But you can mix and match them, so they got options
how fun
as well.
Is that we like for how many years when we talked about Edmonton, it was like trying to figure out, okay, who can play with McDavid, who can play Draisaitl. Like, you got to put good wingers around them. Like, obviously, you can put them on the same line together. Sure, but it works better when you've got that deadly 1-2 center punch. So now instead of going from like, oh, who can play with them, it's now like you've got so many options and you can move them around and mix and match until you find what works. But at the end of the day, you've got great quality wingers 100% on both the left and right side of both of them. Like, one of them is like Draisaitl is not going to be carrying a fucking Corey Perry and Ryan McLeod. He's now going to have his pick between, an Arvidsson, a Skinner, a Nugent Hopkins, a potentially Kane, a Holloway. Like, they have options now, and that is so huge for them because that was their biggest. Well, I mean, goaltending and defense was always kind of there. It's up for debate if it's still there on the defense, but for their forwards, like they are set going into next year with what they've got.
Yeah, and speaking of teams that are set going into the future, the Montreal Canadiens. I don't really know if they made a ton of moves in free agency, honestly. But the biggest move that they made was extending Juraj Slafkovsky to an 8-year extension with AAV of 7.6 mil. That is tidy work over there in Montreal. Yeah. Their top 3 guys, Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky, are all signed till at least 2023 at cap hits of 7.875, 7.85, and 7.6. They don't have a guy making more than 8.
They're the Canadian New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, that's what it is. I think it's we don't need to talk about this too much because we know it's a good deal. Everybody knows it's a good deal. But I love that for Montreal, and I love that Slafkovsky came out and said, money wasn't obviously the money's nice. Like, no player's gonna be like, oh, I fucking hate money. Like, no. But he said, like, money wasn't the biggest drawing factor. It's the fact that he wanted to stay in Montreal and he wants to win in Montreal. And so they were easily able to make something work. And, it's just a great piece of work by Montreal to get him signed on a deal like that.
Yeah.
Not only that, it doesn't kick in until next year.
Yeah, he's still on his ELC for one more year.
Yeah.
And when players say stuff like, the money wasn't a huge factor, I think it's because, Slafkovsky, if he pushed, he probably could have got maybe 8. If he really was a hard ass, he played hardball with them. but he still got around. He gave a little bit less. He got a little
Yeah.
bit less rather than what he could have got. In that case, he's doing the team a bit of a favor. But in a lot of situations, namely like ones like the Stamkos situation where people are saying, you know, uh, he said he wanted to stay, but then he went and signed this big contract in Nashville. Well, yeah, because where was the team offering him 10% less than what he was asking, or were they offering 70% less? And we
Yeah.
don't know, but a lot of people were drawing conclusions, either taking the side of management or the player in that situation. But we don't know the numbers, and at the end of the day, uh, the GM is entitled to his cap space, the player is entitled to his salary. We don't know.
I also
I think
love
it's
that.
it's jumping to conclusions to hate on either side over the
Yeah.
situation when we don't know what happened at all.
I also love that Kent Hughes was able to do what New Jersey wasn't. And New Jersey, obviously, they brought in Timo Meyer, and their whole thing was like, okay, we're going to pay you, but we're not paying you more than Jack Hughes because that's our guy. And then obviously didn't go that way. Meyer ends up getting paid almost just a little bit less than $1 million more than Hughes. When you look at when you look at Montreal, like Nick Suzuki, he's getting 7,875. Cole Caulfield's getting 7,850, so 25,000 less, and then Slavkovsky's coming in at 7,600.
Yeah.
So Montreal's doing it
$200,000-ish
where it's like, we're going to pay you, but you are not getting more than our top centerman Suzuki, our captain, our guy. We'll pay you, but you're not getting more than him. And they've been able to do that now with the two guys that you could be like, shit, they could get more than Suzuki now because, when a player signs their contract, like the following year, it's like, well, cap's going up now, but it's like the contracts just keep going up more and more. And there's more guys you can compare yourself to in their deals. But I really like that for Montreal. It's like Suzuki's our top guy. You're not getting more than him. And they're able to do it now. And they've locked up their, obviously Demidov's going to come in and be part of that core four for them up front. Sorry, Toronto, but Montreal's stealing that. But I love it. Like Suzuki's the highest paid, and it's like you're not getting more than him. I love that for Montreal because it also keeps everybody else's contract lower.
Yeah,
like you're getting guys on steal of deals.
I do think Slavkovsky helped facilitate that. I think if he wanted and he was a hard ass, he could have got that more.
If he played hardball, he could have.
There's no way you don't take Slavkovsky for 8 years at $8 million. But it works out for the team very well that he was willing to go at what he did. And having those three locked up all under $8 million for multiple years bodes very well for the Canadiens going forward.
Oh, most definitely. Like I love it for them. Again, great offseason by Montreal. I'm excited to see what the team looks like next year. What do we want to do? Do you want to just at this point now? Do we kind of want to?
I'm thinking individual deals,
trades. So just a couple trades that I want to highlight for some teams because I think they're big. Utah getting John Marino from the Devils for 2 seconds. That's great for Utah. Again, continue to build out that defense, and it's nice to see them spending the money that they have rather than going out and grabbing guys on LTIR and just stocking up on picks. They're making moves. They're bringing in guys that can help them. I love that for them. The Washington Capitals, a team that I think is just trying to stay relevant with Ovi because I don't think they're contending. But they made two great moves, acquiring Logan Thompson from the Vegas Golden Knights for 2 third-round picks, as well as they also got Jacob Chychrun from Ottawa for nothing, like Nick Jensen and a third. And there was I'm going to tell you this. So they got Nick Jensen. I can't even say his name because he's
a good player.
No,
he's a very solid top 4 player. But we're talking about Chychrun here.
There was rumors that at the draft, Ottawa got an offer of a first and a second round pick for Chychrun, and they declined that. If that is true, holy fuck, is that like just that's an all-time blunder. Like that could be a top.
And what did they get from
blunder?
And what did they get from Washington?
They got Nick Jensen in a third in 2026. So you're probably looking at like an early third round pick, but it's
I
like
think that's kind of harsh on them then. I don't think a first and a
nah,
second is worth a ton more than what they got. It's probably better, but
100% it is. 100% it is. Because you could have
people
even
value
gone out
first
and you
round
could have
picks way too much.
wait, but you could have gone out in free agency and got a Nick Jensen guy. You could have gone out and got a guy to fill that role that Nick Jensen's going to fill. And only that, you get a
Maybe.
first and a second.
How much are you gonna have
Whether
to pay
you,
him to convince him to go to Ottawa, though?
it doesn't matter whether you use that first and second or not. That can be more assets for trading. You could go out and trade for. You could have. I mean, if they did it at the draft, you could have gone out and traded for Mikhail Sergachev. Like, there's other way. Again, I don't hate it for Ottawa, but when you're looking at what they got and what they could have gotten, what they could have
It's not a good trade
built
for them.
instead, yeah.
I just don't think the first and second is worth a ton more. It's crazy to me how little value Chikrin has at this point.
The thing is we
teams.
don't know what the first and second were. Like, we don't know if it was in the first round that year, like in 2024 in that draft, or next year. But if it was next year, oh, Ottawa fucked up, because next year's draft is so good and so deep. Like, if you held on to that pick, you were getting whether, and you know, wherever that pick is, whether it's probably from a contending team. So say 16
especially
to 32,
if it was Washington's, yeah.
You're getting a really good player there. So again, it's not like Ottawa got like I mean, I still think Ottawa got kind of fucked. But I don't know. I just think when you're looking at what they could have got compared to what they got, it's like, man. And again, I don't think Nick Jensen sucks, but I think you could have easily filled those shoes in free agency and had picks, or you could have even just flipped those picks for another guy. But I do love it for Washington, though. Getting Chikrin, you know what? Good for them. They're not going to win a cup again with Ovi. Like, you can make the playoffs and get swept, but like Washington's, they're making moves, but they're just trying to stay relevant, I think, in the league right now with Ovi. They don't want to. They don't want to be a bottom, feel like a bottom 5 team with Ovi. They're fine if they're just missing the playoffs or just squeaking in and getting swept. Like, that's the reality of Washington. So, hey, you know what? Fair play to them. But I like the moves by Utah getting Bonato, Sergachev, and then John Marino.
Yeah,
and then
I have quite a few here that I was thinking I could rapid fire off to you, and we'll just get. Do you like it for the team, or do you think it was too much?
Okay. Yeah, and we're gonna we're doing actual full rapid style here, like right off the cuff. As soon as I hear it, boom.
Yeah, just either you like it or you don't like it for them, based on their situation. Yeah. Oliver Ekman-Larsson to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I like it for Toronto. Bit of an overpay, but I like it for Toronto.
I completely agree with that assessment. We already talked about
Brady Shea. He does have a ring. So
he does.
You do have an overpay for a Stanley Cup champ.
Yeah, and Toronto could use it. Elias Lindholm to the Boston Bruins.
I like it. I don't think the contract's going to age well, but in the meantime, for the Bruins going for a cup, I like it.
Yeah.
Do I think he plays out that entire contract there? No.
I think he probably plays 4 or 5 years of it, and
I think he gets
moved with a bit of term
at least. I think he gets 5 in at least. He does not finish the contract there, though.
Yeah. Jake DeBrusk to Vancouver.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
5.5 for 7 years is real nice for him,
especially at his age. The way he plays, I think he's a great filler into their top 6, because now you roll, whatever you do, Miller and Besser, and then you do Pettersson and DeBrusk, or vice versa with Besser and DeBrusk. But I think he's a great ad there. And not only that, he wanted to go there. So, he wanted to go to a Western Canadian team, and obviously Edmonton did not have the money, and I'm not even sure Calgary offered him a deal, as far as I know, or not a good enough deal. So I like it for both DeBrusk and Vancouver.
Yeah, I would have put money down on him being older than 27. Didn't know he was that young.
Yeah.
Jake Bean to the Calgary Flames.
Fucking love it. I'm a huge Jake Bean fan from his time with the Hitmen. So seeing him, and he's not only that, he's a Calgary boy. So I think he can add some offense on the back end for him. Not only that, you got a Calgary guy who if he fits in there, like he's a first round pick as well, like former first round pick. So the skill is there. If he can make it work with Calgary, they know they've got a guy that will want to stay there.
Yeah. Stefan Nason to the New Jersey Devils.
Love it. Nason going back to the Devils. Great, third, fourth line insurance who plays a hard game and can also be a beast on the power play.
Yeah, I think it has pretty nice cap hit too. Very cheap at 2.75 for 3 years.
Oh, 3 years. Oh, love that deal.
Yeah.
Love that for New Jersey. That's huge. New Jersey's also a sleeper winner.
Yeah, they did some pretty nice work.
Brett Pesce and Brendan Dillon on the blue line. Like, fuck. Looking good.
$4 million for 3 years might be a bit much for Brendan Dillon, but I mean, they're paying a lot of guys way under market value. They can afford to do things like that.
Brendan Dillon is the guy in there right now where he probably plays 2 years of that deal, and then he's moved once Salayev comes in. So Dillon's just a filler there.
Yeah.
For once Salayev comes in, and again, fucking crazy to think New Jersey's got Salayev in their prospect pool now.
But Matt Grzelcyk to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
What was that deal?
1 year at 2.75.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Yeah, taking a flyer on a guy who's been good.
Yeah, could work out, and Pittsburgh keeps him, or they move him at the deadline, and they get some picks back or something. So I like it for them.
Chandler Stevenson to the Seattle Kraken.
Fucking hate it. Awful. Such an overpay. Too much term. Again, good player, but that's way too much term and whatnot. Like Seattle could have spent their money better elsewhere.
I honestly don't even hate the cap hit. I just hate the term. I think 4 or 5 years of Stevenson at 6.25 would be fine, but 7, maybe he ages like Pavelski and it's fine. But right now,
it does sound like there was a bidding war for him. Like I know that the Sharks were in on him, but
sounds like Nashville was apparently in on him as well somehow.
Yeah, but San Jose, I know at least San Jose, their cap for how much they would give a free agent was 4 years. So as soon as it came out that, that term was on the deal on the table from Seattle, that scared off like a lot of teams. I think there's only one other team that kind of stuck around there, but once Seattle offered that term, every other team was like, yeah, we're out.
Yeah. What else do we got here? Ilya Lyubushkin to the Dallas Stars.
I don't like it that much.
Yeah.
I mean, you buy out Suter just to replace him with Lyubushkin. Like, I don't think that does you very much. Especially, I don't like the contract they gave him either.
I think it would be fine if they didn't get like 3 right-handed defensemen in the same day. We can tie it right in because it's right beside it. Matt Dumba to the Dallas Stars.
I don't mind the Dumba one because the Dumba one's shorter. It's only 2 years, so I mean,
3.75 though.
It's a bit much, but like if he can, again, he's only a year removed from playing with Minnesota, where I thought he was actually pretty solid. If he can get back to somewhat what he was in with Minnesota, which I think he can in Dallas's system, I think he could do very well. Like I don't like to just look at a player and be like, oh, he was shit last year, so like I'm writing him off. Like I think there's still a lot of potential for.
Was pretty rough.
I think there's a lot of potential for Matt Dumba.
If they kept Tanev, I would have liked it a lot more. I think he needs a stay-at-home guy to staple him to.
Dallas was not willing to do the term with Tanev that Toronto was, and that's why he was moved to Toronto, because Toronto is willing to do that 4.5 for 6 years, which Tanev's not playing out that full 6 years. No. I don't think. Not the way he plays. But like once that was there was nothing Dallas could do.
No, I think they had to keep both or not get either, though.
Yeah,
I think you can't get Dumba without a stay-at-home guy like that. He needs that Tanev, that a Ryan McDonough type. Like it sounds like Tampa wasn't willing to bring him back for like 1 year. Well,
Dumba can do just fine on the third defensive pairing and just hit and whatnot. And like I think
great in the offensive zone, and he's great physically, but he misses his assignments a lot in his own zone.
But when you look at the guys he can play with on Dallas in their system, especially with Peter DeBoer, I think he'll be just fine. Again, I could be wrong; it could age badly, but I'm being optimistic.
And it wouldn't age
like
badly
Matt
for
Dumba,
long.
So
it's 2 years.
Exactly, which is why I'm like, you know what? If it doesn't work, It doesn't work. Like you attach a 4th round pick and you trade him. Like
Yeah.
you send him to Chicago or something.
This is one of the ones I really liked personally. Taylor Radish to the Washington Capitals.
Yeah, I think he'll get an opportunity there, and I think he can be a solid player. So I like that for them.
Yeah, 1 mil 1 year. He put up I think 20 goals for 35 points 2 years ago on a very bad Chicago team. So a Bedardless Chicago team at that. So
Yeah.
if you can get him back to something like that as a depth guy, that'd be great. I
Yeah.
didn't even know this one happened. I didn't hear about this. Jack Campbell to Detroit.
Yeah, shit. Okay, cool. Detroit, you got a AHL bench warmer.
Yeah, it's
Next.
it's 1 year, $775K. So,
It's the best offer he's gonna get.
yeah. Warren Fogle to the LA Kings.
I like it. I think he plays the LA Kings style of hockey, and I think he can slot in very good for them on their probably 3rd line. So I think it's a good deal.
I really like it for him as well. Especially really has that if you can't beat them, join them vibe. 3 years in a row knocked out by the Oilers. Let's pick up one of their depth pieces.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Shane Gostisbehere to the Carolina Hurricanes.
I like it. I think they obviously had to make moves after you're losing Brett Pesce and Brady Shea. So I think you bring Gostisbehere who can kind of provide that offense that you're now losing from Brady Shea. So I like that for Carolina. Hate it for Detroit that they let Gostisbehere go, but
yeah, at 3.2 mil for 3 years, I think that's real nice for the Hurricanes. Honestly, I think that's pretty sweet.
And I'm happy Shane Gostisbehere can now stay somewhere for a bit and not bounce around.
Yeah,
good for him for getting a multi-year deal here.
Just scrolling through. Who do we got? Tyler Toffoli to the San Jose Sharks.
I love it. Obviously, Toffoli, he's got a cup. He wanted to find some stability. Like he played on, I think it was 5 teams over the last 6 years. So like, Buddy was just wanting to get some stability. He got a 4-year deal from the Sharks, and I think he can slot in really nicely with any of their young centermen, whether you put him with Celebrini or Smith. I think he can not only provide some great veteran leadership, but can help produce points and help elevate some of their younger guys in some areas that they may need help with. So, and his wife is also from the area, so they're very excited to not only go back to California, but be close to her family, and he can have some peace of mind knowing that he can stay with the team for more than a year and a half.
Alexander Wenberg also to the Sharks.
If I'm looking at it from an outside perspective, I like it because you're bringing in a good defensive forward. Not only that, defensive centerman who can make your penalty kill better. As a Sharks fan, I'm not super high on it because this kind of makes me think that Logan Couture might be done. Like, I think this is Logan Couture insurance.
Right.
Because if Couture plays like you,
because all of the cap space, but
yeah, because if like Couture plays, you look at their centermen, like you've got Nico Sturm, Couture, Wenberg. If Celebrini and Smith both play both of them and Mikhail Granlund, like you're looking at 5 or 6 right there.
And
so you
none
can
of those
move
are
2 to the wing.
liners either.
Yeah, like Nico Sturm probably.
Yeah.
But like, so you'd have to move 2 to the wing, probably a Will Smith and a Granlund. But again, it just makes me kind of think that they're not super high that Couture is gonna be fully healthy and able to play all of next season. So, but you know what? In terms of, again, a little bit of veteran presence and good defensively, I like it.
Yep, that's a fair assessment there.
One I want to bring up, I don't have it here, but I know he did sign it. And that is Jake Middleton with Minnesota. I think it was like a 4-year deal, $4 million per year or something. I love this guy. He was drafted by the LA Kings. His claim to fame is he was the pick right before McDavid. He was drafted right before Connor McDavid. for those who don't get it, he was the very last pick in the 2014 NHL draft by the LA Kings. So
I see.
the way you're looking at it, technically, he was drafted right before McDavid. But didn't see a way to get in with the Kings, so he said, "Hey, let me go." Goes to San Jose, fights his way through the AHL, makes it to the NHL, plays really well, gets traded to Minnesota, got an extension from Minnesota for a couple of years, and now he signed a nice deal where I think he's making at least 16 mil, because I know it was at least 4x4, could be a bit more. But again, it's like a Patrick Hornquist guy, a very last pick in the draft, just scrapping and clawing their way. He tells the team that drafted him, "Hey, thanks for drafting me, but let me go and make a name for myself." And sure enough, he did, and he's getting paid now. So I couldn't be happier for Jake Middleton there.
Yeah,
I love
that's a
those
good
kind of
story for him.
stories.
Yeah, right.
Not only that, just a defenseman who likes to hit. He can score some goals,
good
fight,
too.
block. He kind of does it all. So, and he's got a sick muzzy, probably the sickest in the league. Look up Jake Middleton if you haven't. Fucking sick muzzy as well.
Ilya Samsonov going to the Vegas Golden Knights.
I mean, good backup for Vegas. Like, he's not gonna be the star. Like, he's not gonna be a start over Aiden Hill. But yeah, good for him. Good for him for landing on his feet somewhere. Obviously, just wasn't working with Toronto, but yeah, no, I think it's fine for Vegas. It's a solid backup there, who can also be a starter if need be, if Aiden Hill goes down, because as good as Aiden Hill is, yeah, I don't think he's played more than 30 games in a single season yet. Regular season, that is.
Yeah.
Which is fucking wild to say when we're talking about Aiden Hill, who, what he's done.
Yeah, actually. Matvey Michkov. Obviously, we know this was a great signing, which is literally just him on his ELC in Philadelphia. But I just wanted to highlight it because obviously it's his ELC. He's making got a cap hit of $950,000 for the next 3 years. Total value of the contract $12,750,000. He's got a lot of signing bonuses in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously great work by Philly to bring him over, so
yeah, I don't know what they did. I don't know how they got him to come over so quickly, and they got the KHL to be cool with it and everything, but fantastic work there. They are the Russian Whisperers in my eyes.
Because we saw this happen with Michkov, and now so I had him projected to go around 20th when I did my mock draft. Igor Chernyshov, he ended up going 33rd. He went the beginning of the second round to the Sharks. And so he has 1 year left on his contract in the KHL. But it now sounds like he's trying to get out of that contract, and it sounds like it could very well happen. And he's not going to play in the NHL next year, but it sounds like he wants to come over to North America, and he wants to get that next step in of playing North American hockey. And he was recently drafted. I think it was today. I think it was today. The OHL did their import draft, and he was taken by the Saginaw Spirit, who I believe was the team that just won the Memorial Cup. So, we're starting to kind of see a thing where even though players got contracts in the KHL that bind them there, they're finding ways to get out of them and come over to North America. So that's huge for Russian players, because that's always one of the kind of the factors that, scares teams off from taking them, like we saw with, like Kaprizov and then Michkov. I mean, his was a little bit different, but
it's kind of cool if he was coming over this soon and people knew it, he probably would have gone second that year. So yeah, it was still there even with him being a high pick. And I've been saying for the last few years, I think it's a lot less of a deal than people are saying, but that was me thinking if I was that player, I would want to go to the NHL and I would find a way to do it. But across the board, many more players than we're used to are doing that. So whatever changed, whether that's a political thing over there, whether it's with the KHL, or whether it's a culture thing with the young guys, they're coming over, and that's pretty cool to watch. As somebody who loves watching these exciting young Russian prospects.
Yeah, exactly right. Like it's just great to see, and it's nice for those players that they get more of a fair shake now from teams and not just looked over because they've got a KHL contract, like you know we don't get a chance with them for a bit. Like you've got a legit chance of bringing them over in due time. So I like it for them. I'm really happy that they're able to get out of some of these deals that kind of bind them and halt their transition to the NHL a little bit.
Yeah. Moving on to a couple more free agents we got here. Sean Monahan to the Columbus Blue Jackets.
I don't love it. I don't hate it. I think he's going to be good there, and I think he's going to do exactly what they're bringing him in to do. Third line, solid center, potentially second line. I almost wonder if it's just one of those things of trying to bring him in to ignite something with Goudreau and try and recreate some magic. But I think that's kind of long and gone. But hey, you know what? I'm very curious to see if see how those two play together now, being reunited in Columbus here. So I like it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the cap hit 5.5 for 5 years, but
yeah,
if
given his
if you can
injury history is kind of the big thing. Like he's
Yeah.
worth it if healthy. I'm just kind of worried if can he stay healthy throughout this contract?
Yeah. What do we got here? Nikita Zadorov to the Boston Bruins.
Big Zed, not Big Z.
Zed.
Big Zed. I like it.
Yeah.
I don't really got much to say. I think he provides a lot more stability on their blue line.
He feels like a Boston player, doesn't he?
He really does, yeah. So, and that's kind of what I like. I'm like, you know what? The contract takes him till I think he's like 35, so that's perfect. Like,
yeah.
And I think he'll do exactly what Boston needs him to do. So,
yep, $5 million per for 6 years will take him exactly to the 35. Yeah, he seems like a Boston player through and through. I think he said he wanted to go there even. So, great signing by them, I think. Especially if he can keep up what he's done in the last bit with Vancouver.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Jack Rathbone to the Buffalo Sabres.
Fucking love it. Love this kid. Love what he's gonna do there. Like,
Everyone
sorry, Darlene. Sorry, Power. Sorry, Bowen Byram. Like, fucking take a step back, Jack Rathbone.
Enjoy the second power play.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, that's like not much more to say. Like their top D are getting moved down. Jack Rathbone's coming in, and he's gonna create some waves there for him.
Yeah. The Jacob Slavin extension in Carolina.
I mean, it's not going to age well. Like in the last couple of years, it's not going to be a good contract. It's like the Mark Edward Vlasic deal with San Jose. It's a great deal for a top defensive defenseman in the league, but with those strong defensive defensemen, they have a lifespan in the league.
And even an offensive player would age poorly probably with this one because he's 31 years old right now, and that's for 8 years.
It's an extension. It doesn't kick in until next year.
It goes to at least 40 then. So 40, it's just barely under 6.4 mil for those 8 years, but
it's all about winning now. It's to win now for them. Yeah. So you know what? In terms of their window of like, we're going all in, we're trying to win. I love it, but in terms of the long value of it, I don't like it. But again, you have to give them that 8 years to get them at a cap hit like that when you're trying to win right now. So,
yeah, and I really think I don't hate it, but I do think Carolina they need to go and they get better up front. They need better forwards because their defense has been so good for so long. And it's just, with the guys we've been saying they've signed, because also the next one, Sean Walker to Carolina, 3.6 mil for 5 years. They've never had any less than stellar blue line for the past 5 or 6 years, but they need to be able to score a bit more.
Yeah, exactly right. And so,
and they really do like that young Sean Walker contract.
So. Yeah, I was going to say the Sean Walker, I think, is tidy work by them because, I mean, you lose Brady Shea, Brett Pesce, but you're bringing Sean Walker and Goss to spare. It's a little bit of a step back, but again, you've got the big dogs up front, and now it also helps open up a little more money for you and room to kind of help bolster your forward core maybe a bit more. So I think it's totally fine. I like the Sean Walker deal. Would have liked him to go to San Jose, but again, he got 5 years. So, and San Jose was not willing to do more than 4, and they really wanted Sean Walker, but again, they couldn't compete with what Carolina was offering. So,
yeah,
I like it for the Canes.
We got 3 Calgary ones here in a row. The first of those 3, Martin Ferk.
Slapshot menace, love it. Next,
right? Ryan Lomberg.
Stanley Cup champ, former Flame, plays a hard-nosed game, can be a great fourth liner. Love it.
Yep, $2 million per year for 2 years. Very, very doable. That there's no way that could be a bad contract, really. Like they're not going to be at the cap hit, the cap maximum. So, that's going to be good for them. Igor Sharangovich and his extension, 5 years at 5.75 per year.
Great deal. He literally was
this.
their best player last season, and he literally just took Mangiapane's money that he was making. So I love it.
Wasn't Monge making 6 even?
No, Monge was making 5.8. So
okay.
Igor's actually making a little bit less, but like basically splitting hairs.
50,000 per year less, not 50 mil.
Splitting hairs. He's taken Mangiapane's money, and I think he fits Calgary's timeline better and is a better player. So,
yeah. What we got here? A couple to Chicago. Tyler Bertuzzi.
I like it. I think that's great kind of insurance there in their top 6. Yeah, I've got no problems with it. I know Toronto fans are upset he didn't stick around, but I like the fit of him in Chicago there with Bedsy and the rest of the crew that they're building there.
Pat Maroon to Chicago.
Fucking love it. When you bring in the big rig, like dude's got 3 cups. 3 cups, but he went to the finals 4 years, 4 years in a row. So he's got a better record than Perry. So I love it. Anytime you bring the big rig in,
vibes.
Like what? Yeah, you're chilling. And I'm sure he'll get treated better in Chicago than he did in Boston.
Yeah, probably. Teuvo Teravainen to the Chicago Blackhawks.
That's great. That's more insurance in your top 6, and I think he could do well with Bedard as well. So I think that's great.
Yeah, surrounding Bedard with not super long term, but guys, but like quality top 6 players like Teravainen and Bertuzzi that will help him put up a couple more points. At a certain point, Bedard's going to be better than all the other guys on your team, and you need guys who at the very least can keep up to the point where they can help him put up points. A Zach Hyman to just shoot it off my stick and in and make me a 50-goal scorer. So
exactly right.
I really like a lot of those signings there. Dallas bringing back Matt Duchene.
Yeah, great. I'm surprised they were able to get him at a cap hit as low as they did, but again, I think he fit in phenomenally there with their team, and he wants to run it back with them. So I love that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that, and I don't know how he got that little. Maybe because he's still getting money from Nashville after the buyout, but
and I think that's what it is. I think that's and also that is Duchene's at a point now where he wants to win a cup. Like he's willing to take a discount to win, and he can see a clear path to winning with Dallas still here.
One that I didn't see actually until just now, Yakov Trenin to the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, fucking that's such a bad contract, man.
That's a lot of money for Yakov.
That's such a fucking bad deal. Like I get he fits in well with kind of what they're doing.
I really like him as a player, but 3.5 for 4 years is a lot for him.
I don't like it. Bad deal.
Brett Pesce to the Devils.
I like it. He's getting paid exactly what he's worth, and that just again helps make New Jersey's blue line that much better. And they have the money to spend. To bolster their defense. So I like it.
Yep. 5.5 for 6 years.
Great for both parties.
Pretty nice. Anthony Duclair to the New York Islanders.
Love it. I thought he was going back to San Jose, based off everything that I heard, but and not only that, great deal. Like I'm not even looking, but I know off the top of my head he's 3.5 for 4 years.
Yep.
Because it's a great deal. So much speed, so he can easily slot in and probably tuck 30. And
He'll probably be playing with Barzell.
I was gonna say he could put up 30 with Barzell and Horvat on that top line with his speed and his shot. And his defensive game doesn't have to be super out of this world because you're playing with Bo Horvat. And when he played junior hockey, he played in the O the Q, because with the Remparts. And his coach at the time was Patty Waugh. And now he's going to the island and he's going to be with Patty Waugh again. So this is a great scenario for him to succeed. And not only on top of that, I'm just happy to see a guy like Duclair get a long-term deal in somewhere where he can settle down for a bit.
Yeah, I think he's played
like
for
Florida was going to
like
be
11
that place.
teams or something. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane.
Like it looked like Florida's going to kind of be that place, but then they had to move him out, and people are like, "What are you doing?" But they won the cup, so it's like, fuck. Look what they did. I thought he fit in great with San Jose. There was excitement on both sides for an extension. I thought something was going to happen, didn't. I thought there was an opening maybe to stick with Tampa Bay. It didn't happen. But you know what? 4-year deal with the Islanders, I think, is a great place for him to succeed. And he's able to kind of set up shop for a bit. So I love it for not only the Islanders, but for Duclair to stick around with the team more, because good player has a lot to give, and it's just one of those guys that just has never found anywhere we could like fully settle down for a while. So I like it.
Yeah, I love this signing for them. I think
And
it's
that was
gonna be
like
a great deal.
that was their only free agent signing as well.
Yeah. Also,
But they made a big splash doing it.
and you know what? It's actually funny that's their only one, because it's the one that Patty Waugh went out of his way and told Lamoriello, I want him.
Oh, did he?
Said
Well, there we go.
Yeah, and afterward, like as soon as the signing went through, Patty Waugh texted Duclair, and he was saying, "Hey, I asked for you specifically, like, welcome to the team." And like, I mean, first of all, it's a head coach saying, "Hey, I chose you, and you're our only signing." But also, it's freaking Patrick Waugh. Like, that's pretty sick.
Exactly right. Like, yeah.
So I think that says a good bit about him, and I think he's going to be a fantastic fit there.
So for signings, do we want to cap it there? Because we do have another one we want to do. So do you want to leave it there
another episode?
Yeah, where we can kind of do, look at the rest of the free agents and then kind of, some more, because obviously there's going to be other stuff that's going to happen the next couple of days. Like there's rumors that there's going to be some trades and whatnot. So we can kind of come back and do a little bit more of that, and then kind of just do a whole, draft free agent kind of wrap up thing if we want to do it that way.
Yeah, we can.
I just pulled it up here and I'm just kind of looking through. I'm like, yeah, we still got kind of some big ones that probably are going to be talked about a bit more, but we have been going. We've kind of extended it a bit longer here. We're trying to keep it more condensed and precise as we're in
we still
season
got a bit.
2 for whatever the fuck that means. But yeah, we have a lot more free agent signings, a lot more, just UFA talk of guys still out there. Some other trades we didn't get to. Like we've got a lot more that we're going to come back to. A
lot of stuff has happened around
a couple days here. Like I don't think we've hashed out a hard timeline, but I know you do have anniversary tomorrow, so that's why
True.
I made sure that we got this episode in tonight, because I want to give you tomorrow off to just enjoy your day and whatnot, and then we can we can pick up the day after or something. But I want to give you your day to enjoy it with your wife and whatnot. And then
thank you, appreciate it. 10 years tomorrow.
Yeah.
Today, actually, at the time of recording, it is now 12:01.
We're kind of night whores. We're I don't know. Yeah, that's what we are. It is what it is. But yeah, so I want to give you your day. So then we can pick it up, the day after, and by then we're gonna have a lot more probably signings and whatnot. Like we kind of touched on I don't know if I think we touched on it before the episode, but like the Tarasenko deal that just happened today. Like we still got moves that are being made.
Oh yeah, we can talk about the Tarasenko deal. We got the Tanev deal. We got the Hedman extension.
We got
I
the
don't even know if we
Lundell,
talked
like
about that.
we've
There's some stuff to talk about for
yeah.
sure. So we can.
Sebastian Aho on the move. Like we've got
Whoa,
moves.
I haven't heard about that. Unfortunately,
Not
we
not
will
not
have
not
to.
Car- not Carolina's Aho.
Oh, not okay. Well, I was excited because I was just saying they need to do something up front.
Not there.
Well,
Not Carolina's Aho.
when we do that next one, we will have to figure out another way to format it on our end. Obviously, that won't affect the listeners, but when we're recording it, Cap Friendly might be gone.
Yeah. Well,
We're in the last few
recording this.
days.
Yeah, we're at 12:02 right now, July 4th, which means we are less than 24 hours right now from Cap Friendly going down.
Bastards.
Man, it fucking
Bastards.
sucks. I'm really hoping I just like when I'm tomorrow night when I'm just sitting there, you know, fucking doing my thing. I just really hope once it hits midnight, I pull up Cap Friendly and it's like, oh, it's still there. Go to bed, get my my beauty sleep because I'm a little princess, and then wake up Friday morning, look at it, Cap Friendly's still going. That's what I'm hoping for because I just don't want to think it's real. Because a Cap Friendly is so it's in the name, friendly, user friendly.
And that's
It is
literally
so
all it
nice
is.
for
It
us.
doesn't have secret info that the other ones don't have or something like that. Like I just pulled up Puckpedia, which everyone's talking about is going to be the next Cap Friendly. It's the one that, everyone's going to start
good.
using.
It's
Like
good.
I'm looking
It
at
gives
it,
you what you need,
it's
but
fine.
it's not the
It's
friendly. It's not
it's
user friendly.
it's not near as nice looking or as easy to find stuff. There are
Yeah, it's
some
not easy
very
to
good
navigate.
tools and stuff on here, but
There is, but it's just it doesn't have that user friendly aspect of just being able I can go on Cap Friendly and I can find a player's contract and everything or a team salary cap situation in 10 seconds. Puckpedia, it probably takes you about 30 to get there. Like again, 30 seconds isn't long, but it's just when you're used to just again the accessibility of Cap Friendly and how smooth it is and condensed and precise, like you get accustomed to it.
yeah.
You get accustomed to what you know and you love, and fuck us apparently.
But yeah, I
Sucks
guess
to be us.
we can leave it there and we can continue our next episode as part 2 of free agency. We'll
'Cause
see
we
if
love our part twos.
we'll see if any of these guys get signed before the next one happens because I've just opened Puckpedia and they've got top UFAs still unsigned here. So as of right now, Daniel Sprong, James Van Riemsdyk, Tyler Johnson, Jack Roslovic, Justin Schultz, Kevin Shattenkirk, Max Pacioretty, Mike Hoffman. None of them have teams. Joe Pavelski's
two of them
also on
do.
there, but
Two of them do that you just
it'd be
listed.
cool if the Sharks brought him back as a coach.
Two of them listed who you just did.
Yeah. Who? Which ones are those?
Again,
JVR?
we'll dive into the contracts in the next episode.
Oh,
But
God.
Jack Roslovic did go to Carolina, and Daniel Sprong went to
Did he go back to the Wings?
no. What are the kids called now? The Poopy Boys.
That doesn't narrow it down like at all.
The
The Blue Jackets.
High School Musicals of the pregame.
The Johnny Gaudreau Brown Thumbs.
No. The Sphere Boys. Oh, Vegas. Yeah, Daniel Sprong went to Vegas.
I couldn't tell if you couldn't remember it or if you're doing a fucking bit.
No, yeah, or just a little shitting on Vegas because
this episode's gone too long for bits.
Yeah. But yeah, once again, for everybody here, start of season 2. There has been a lot of you that have been here with us since the very beginning, and we do want to thank you again very much. If any smaller signings we missed that you think have a big impact, any certain draft picks at the draft, and because we obviously did all of round 1, but day 2, but consisted of rounds 2 to 7. If we missed anything there that your team did that you really want us to talk about, you can let us know all of those on any of our socials. We are on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at SEU Hockey. So come say hi. Yeah.
Let us know if you agree or disagree with any of our takes on those things as we were going through them today. What do you think about the Stamkos situation with Tampa? Do you like the Chandler Stevenson signing a lot more than we did for Seattle? Things like that. So, or maybe you really are really high on Yakov Trenin and you think that deal's going to age well. Let us know, because there are some deals that I thought were really bad that some people thought were great, and vice versa. So everyone's got an
Yeah.
opinion, and some people
Yeah.
watch. If a player was on your team, you probably have a lot more insight than 30 other fan bases.
Yeah. And if you're a Seattle fan, we're kind of cucking you by waiting until next episode with the Montour deal, but you'll have to tune into that to hear our full thoughts
He
on the
was
Brandon
the
Montour
next
deal
big
as well.
one. He was
Yeah.
the next big one on the
And
list.
once I pulled it up and I saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's it. We're gonna cuck him here and make him wait, make him sweat it out a bit because
Edge the crack.
Yeah, exactly. But once again, thank you for everybody for tuning in. If you're, I guess this from the time this is out, if you're a Canadian, hope you had a great Canada Day. If you're part of our American crowd, hope you have a great 4th of July. If you're anywhere across the world, hope you're having a great day.
Hope you're having a
Enjoying
good
your
week.
whatever you got. I don't know if you guys got holidays or whatever is going on there, but we hope you guys are having a good time. We do thank you guys all once again for tuning in, and we will see you guys later this week.